What is going on, members of the Shy Guys Squad, GBA type people, Roseradenborg fans alike? It is me, Dan, otherwise known as Danekii, and this is week 2 of the GBA D-League against TTM Jolt, coach of the Toronto Staraptors from the TokenMinorities. As you guys can see in front of you right here, we have the team preview with my defensive Garchomp, Scarf, Darmanitan, physically defensive SD, Absol, Wish passing Lakey, Magirna, and my defensive Tangrowth. If you guys are wondering about the set, you can check out the team builder that went up yesterday, as I go more in depth about what my sets are supposed to do. So if that's interesting to you, links in the description, probably at the end card. As for my opponent, Jolt has brought himself today the Seismitoad, Tornadus T, Rotom Heat, Mew, Mega Kang, and Scolipede. If you guys are interested to see why he brought what he brought, check out the team builder on his channel. Links to his channel is in the description down below. Styx and Jolt do an amazing job with both Draft League and TCG content, so be sure to check them out. And with that being said, I'm just going to click play right here and then we can see what happened. So, yeah. I am, of course, going to be challenged here by the spookiest player in the game, or in the D-League in my opinion. Of course, it's my opinion. Spookiest player in the D-League being Jolt, as he leads off with Seismitoad. I'm going to lead off with Gaia, because, you know, that's what you gotta do. I want to get my rocks up early game because he's got Rotom Heat, he's got a Tornadus T, and he's got Scolipede. I know that Jolt has said in his draft analysis that he isn't necessarily too afraid of hazards, as he's not too weak to them, but I digress, especially when he has Rotom Heat as his Magirna answer. Clearly, I mean, what else would look like an even remotely good Magirna answer on his team? Like, maybe especially defensive Mew, but that's besides the point. So I want to have my rocks up to potentially weaken that thing, and we'll see how that works out right to the later of the game. But he clicked Scald. Took us 9 games to recreate that burn because we DC'd. So he's gonna get a rocks here as well as I went for Toxic on him, and then you know we're gonna have exchange status damage because that's always fun to look at. But you know that's what you gotta do. Now next turn coming up right here, as you guys are about to see, we're both going to switch out. And I'm going to switch out and go into Woodsman, my Tangrowth, because can beat Seismitoad and can, you know, answer Kangaskhan pretty well. So Shoddy is going to get withdrawn out into Mama Jolt, Mama Kang. Very fitting pickup for Jolt. I almost had this Pokemon, but you stole it from me round 2. But I'm not honestly too upset. I love Mega Absol, and you guys saw week 1 how much it did for me. So more power to my Mega Absol. But yeah, so Mama Kang here, Mega Evolving and looking all motherly, I suppose. But he's gonna go for Ice Beam, and you know, I love Ice Beam, guys.
Sure, Jolt. Sure.
I love freeze hacks. And then to top it all off, just, you know, icing on the cake, he gets a crit on the Baby Kang hit. So my Tangrowth just got severely weakened, but I did thaw out luckily. I debated clicking Leech Seed here just to get some recovery or something like that, but I decided knock off in case he swapped out because he didn't want to deal with like Rocky Helmet shenanigans. But should have known he had Ice Beam because my 2 best ways of checking it is, you know, Tangrowth and Garchomp. So he's going to switch out into Marcus. I'm going to switch out into Clayman, because Clayman can answer things defensively, and you know, I can get regenerator health, so that's nice. Now, let's just say that Licky has Return. Return is supposed to do like 40 to 50% of this Scolipede, severely weaken it, as he sets up Toxic Spikes, and like, let me just tell you guys, let's do this together. I believe in Licky, he is my friend. I know that he can just weaken the Scolipede and, you know, take him down. I believe in you, buddy.
What has my life come to? My trainer used to love me.
How disappointing, Licky. There was a genning error, or a braiding error on my end, where my Licky only had 70 happiness instead of the 255 needed for max damage on return. Meaning that I'm very behind in this game, as my now this means that my Licky is capable of Wish, Protect, and Dragon Tail, because Return is not a viable move for me to click against his team, which is incredibly unfortunate. And I do Dragon Tail to at least chip on the Scolipede, but of course now my Licky is severely weakened, and I don't think he would have Mega Horned if I had the proper return damage, so that's going to affect this game a little bit. So he switches out from Shoddy into Mama. the Mama Kang is back in action, as I believe I threw up a wish in the air here, because yeah, I need to keep my Licky healthy for the likes of Rotom Heat and Tornadus T, especially those two, because I am more of a specially defensive variant to deal with Torn, as Clayman is my best Torn check on my team. And Mama Kang goes for another Ice Beam, just trying to get some good chip off, probably expecting a switch into one of my Rocky Helmet users, which, you know, they are pretty Ice Weak, both of them, so. Mama Kang goes out, gets phased out into Seismitoad. Again, this frog keeps coming in, and it's not what I want. I want the Torn, I want the Rotom, I want the Scolipede, but no, this frog just keeps coming in, and it's really annoying for me. Because if I can weaken, I need to weaken the Rotom just a little bit, because I have, let's just say the end game is gonna get pretty interesting. But he clicks knockoff right here, which is okay, it's fine. Clayman loses his leftovers. It's not the end of the world. I can throw up a wish in the air and keep myself healthy that way, which is always nice to have a go-to for that as an option. Shoddy is going to get hurt by poison again, and now it's closing down on really getting, like, this thing is really getting weakened. And I'm going to go back into Woodsman right here, because Tangrowth is still, like, really solid against him. Of course, it's not a Kang answer as well anymore, but it's still a really nice mon against him. And now I'm poisoned due to T-Spike, and he's going to click Earthquake, so Seismitoad shows off the fact that he has Earthquake and Scald, and that also does nothing to my Tangrowth. So I feel like I'm playing well defensively against my opponent here, and then I get my Wish up in the air from Licky, so shout out to the support. But Shoddy is taking a lot of toxic damage here, and it's starting to get whittled really fast, and it's incredibly weak right now, and it's looking like I can have a pretty... things are getting chipped in range of Magearna is basically what I'm going for here, or like Absol. If I can get Absol or Magearna in the end game here, it can be really nice. So I go for Leech Seed here, trying to, because I don't really actually have a Giga Drain or anything like that, but I go for Leech Seed to start chipping at the Torn. Now here I expected Jolt to predict me to switch into something like Licky or something. Now looking at it in hindsight again after in post-game, Hurricane is of course his best play. It hurts everything on my team, like Licky is weakened, so he would 2KO me and stuff like that. So it was a bit of a misplay on my end right there, honestly. To just sack off Tangrowth like that. I should have gone into Licky regardless and just try to like Leech Seed sap him, but I didn't, and that was a bit unfortunate on my end. So I send an Inferno here, the Darmanitan, as my opponent now is going to be forced to switch out from Rizzy into Shoddy again, and Inferno had enough of like the whole recreation that I had to do 9 times versus Jolt. I mean, it was 8 recreations in the first game, so 9 games. And Inferno just slams his body full of fire into this water frog, and it still killed, so good on you, Darmanitan. Take that KO and get rid of this thing. So, unfortunately for me, Darmanitan's obviously going to get chipped very, very fast, because recoil and stuff. So, Mama Jolt sends in Gypsy King, the greatest player alive. And I'm gonna go for a Flare Blitz right here to do as much damage as possible. But of course, Mama Jolt is one step ahead of her children. Jolt's obviously Guy, but we refer to as Mama Jolt. So he clicks Roosts on the Mew, and Darmanitan is going to go down to poison damage, unfortunately. So that is very unfortunate for me, and I make another bit of a odd play here. Sorry, Darmanitan took so long to get off the layout. But I'd make a bit of an odd play right here by going into Absol. Because by going into Absol, I know this thing is Colbur Berry. Bulky Psychics will always run Colbur Berry against me, that I'm almost 110% sure of, because of the fact that Absol is so strong, and that's their only way to combat it. Now, I do click knockoff still though, because I want to burn this thing's item, and this knockoff still does a pretty decent chunk. If I get a crit, that would be fantastic, because my Absol would have been very, very healthy. But alas, I have to take this Flamethrower. Weakens me down to 63 health and then down to 45. So another round of poison is going to be more than enough to, which I say, put me into the red, especially with rocks and stuff. So Mama Kang comes in, and I just click knockoff again because it is, in my opinion, my best play. And it does a decent chunk. Honestly, Superpower wouldn't have been a bad play. Scully isn't too hot. Mew would have died. Rotom would have taken a shit ton, and same Torn wouldn't have swapped in. But I'm going to have to swap out here now as I'm on 27 health. I'm going to go into Gaia, my Garchomp, as it is, in my opinion, my best answer to the Kang. But Jolt decides to withdraw Kang and go into Gypsy again, back into the Mew, which was a ballsy play, but it worked out for him, so I'm gonna give him full credit on that play. Very nice on my opponent's end. I mean, I can see why he did it, because he tried to scare me out with Fake Out and then just get back into Mew to maybe heal. But I do go for the Earthquake and knock out this here Mew. So we're taking it back down to a 4-4, but my opponent is definitely in a more advantageous spot, as he's got a Torn, which is at about 60%-ish. He's got a Rotom, which is at full, well, 75 after Rocks. He's got a Kang, which is really weakened, and a Scolpede at around 25% after Rocks. Of course, he does knock out my Garchomp here, though, which is unfortunate. But he takes Life Orb damage, you know. I can go into Clayman, though, which is very healthy. Don't know why I haven't used this as a direct response. A bit of a. I think I've played a bit poorly with my Rocky Helmet abusers, but my opponent chooses to go for the Hurricane here, throw my Licky up into the air like you just don't care. And if I had Return here and had that max happiness, I wouldn't have had to face out Torn, and I could have probably taken it out, or at least severely weakened it. But in comes Merc, the Scolipede, which is now only has two hits left in it. And because of that, and the fact that I can't really do anything with my Clayman, I'm going to sack him off here. I'm going to sack off my Licky for the Life Orb hit on Scolipede, and I see an endgame here. The endgame I'm envisioning is, because he's Life Orb, I'm going to send in Magearna right here, because this is the only way the endgame is going to work out for me, in my eyes at least. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go for the Trick Room as he goes for the Earthquake. Magearna can easily live it. He drops to the Life Orb damage, meaning I will get my Soul Heart boost, and I can go for the Trick Room, because Torn is at about 50%, Rotom is at 75%, and the Kangaskhan is at, like, next to nothing. So Redithon comes in, and I'm thinking, I'm a +1, I have Hidden Power Rock specifically for this thing. I should be good to go here, especially if it's an offensive variant. It takes 84 min or something like that. But he is very heavily HP invested, some Spadef and an Assault Vest, which I've seen his set, so that's why I know that. He knocks me out with Overheat, which means that best play scenario for me, I can get this down to 2-0 due to Absol being poisoned. So yes, we do take an L to Jolt of the Toronto Staraptors, but we did put up a really good fight, I felt. I go for Sucker Punch here because I felt he would stay in and not risk like Kang or Torn's differential. So Absol does go down to the T-Spike, and we do lose 2-0 to my good pal Jolt of the Toronto Staraptors. But if you guys have enjoyed this week's GBA game, be sure to leave a like down below, as your support is always greatly appreciated. And of course as well, be sure to subscribe to the channel. We're approaching 2.5k, and I have a surprise for you guys once we hit 2,500. Also be sure to subscribe to Jolt's channel, because he makes amazing content. Him and Styx, they do a phenomenal job over at the TokenMinorities channel, so be sure to give them a check out. Jolt's quality and Styx's TCG quality, it's just fantastic, so be sure to check those guys out. And also leave a like and comment here and let me know what you thought. And if you've come from Jolt's channel, hi, I'm Dan, hope you guys enjoy. But with that being said, I'm gonna head on out. You guys have been absolutely amazing. Thank you guys so much for all the support as of late, and with that being said, I'm gonna get out of here. Peace. Before I wrap up, I just want to give a huge thank you to all my Patreon supporters that you see on screen right now, helping me with my goals and also with future problems. With that being said, hope you guys have enjoyed, and I hope to see you guys in the next video.